I got a message. To meet here?
Would you like a sandwich? I ordered some food.
No, thank you.
How was the drive?
My drive?
Any problems with the traffic on the 405?
Excuse me. I'd like to know why I'm here.
Mr. Rudolph, certain new information has come to our attention. We thought it prudent to discuss the situation with you as soon as possible.
I don't understand.
Concerning a new investigation.
Is this about my work? Because I've been retired for a number of years. I'm no longer actively involved with the NASA or any program that requires a security status.
Why don't you sit down? The Justice Department now has reason to believe that you entered the country not as a genuine refugee, but that in fact you were smuggled illegally in 1946. They also believe that the file on your wartime activities has been substantially altered.
I think I should contact my attorney.
We'd like to assure you that you'll be able to maintain your pension. It's a very substantial pension, as I understand, given in recognition of your services to the government.
If I what?
I'm sorry?
There's something you want me to do, isn't there?
As a matter of fact, there is.
Yes?
In order to continue to receive your pension, I'm afraid we would require you to sign an agreement renouncing your American citizenship.
My citizenship?
Mr. Rudolph, this new information has put us in a very awkward situation. Unless you comply, there will have to be criminal charges brought against you. You'll have to stand trial unless you acknowledge your war crime. Are you sure you don't want any coffee?
I was thoroughly investigated 40 years ago. Months of questions at the end of the war. My record, everything was verified a long time ago.
Mr. Rudolph, I think it would be in your best interest if you just respond to the information I've prepared.
Are you recording this?
What?
I'm asking if you are recording this conversation.
I'm not recording anything.
I'm not answering any more questions.
I'm just trying to establish the truth.
Whose truth?
I didn't think the truth was subjective.
You called me down here to entrap me. I see this all the time on the news, how people are trapped into saying things.
That's not what I'm trying to do, Mr. Rudolph.
What do you want?
To try and resolve this situation.
I'm not going
Please
to...
sit down, sir.
I'm not going to sit down.
I'm advising you to sit down and listen to what the government is offering you. It's in your best interest to consider this agreement, Mr. Rudolph. You need to understand the gravity of your situation. It is very serious, and your walking away today would not help you.
Could you turn down the air conditioner?
The air conditioner is not on, Mr. Rudolph.
I'm cold.
You're cold?
Yes, terribly cold.
I'm sorry.
I have been without heat or adequate food. I was promised that I would be transferred.
Mr. Rudolph, are you all right?
I have already answered your questions.
Can I get you some water?
I've talked to so many people.
When was this?
This has been going on and on for weeks. I was assured, I was given guarantees by your government that I would be able to continue my work.
You understand it's a very complicated process. Dr. Rudolph, I came here to Germany to help you. I'm sorry there is no heat in this facility. We have to make do. I have to tell you, Dr. Rudolph, we established that you German scientists are at least a decade ahead of our guys in the States. We were all very impressed.
Thank you.
My file says here that you were the deputy production manager of the research facility in Nordhausen. Is that correct?
I began 2 years ago, in the spring of 1943.
Very good. And you were involved in the development of the V-1 rocket?
Yes. Production started in November of that year.
And then the V-2?
Around June of 1944. We had learned that the British didn't have enough wind tunnels or the ability to produce a shape that would allow the jets to power their airframe at faster speeds than necessary. But we did. And we came up with the solution, a swept wing.
I see.
Without a swept wing on the rocket, you couldn't attain any speed above 770 kilometers per hour.
How many miles is that?
478.456. With the new design we put into production, rockets were traveling at over 600 miles per hour.
Okay.
From there, we created the prototypes for the V2.
So with those rockets, your program got the highest priority, forcing you to rapidly increase your workforce, right?
That's correct, Major Turner.
How many other people would you say were working there besides the scientists?
By the end of the war, it was perhaps 40,000.
Recruited from?
From the available workforce.
And to your knowledge, where did that labor force come from, Dr. Rudolph?
I was only involved with research.
I see. All right. No involvement in labor force decisions.
My understanding is while he was a student at Harvard, he came across a book.
What book?
The Memoirs of a Survivor from the camp at Nordhausen. The book was out of print, and Mr. Rosenbaum found it in some secondhand bookshop in Cambridge.
How industrious of him.
In this book, the author named you as someone who committed terrible crimes. Mr. Rosenbaum graduated from Harvard and was eventually hired by the OSI.
Office of Special Investigation.
A branch of the Justice Department, set up to investigate possible war criminals living in our country.
I know all about that.
It seems Mr. Rosenbaum has demanded you should be prosecuted.
I
He
see.
piled a very extensive file of the evidence he uncovered. He threatened to go to the press with the new material.
And would this Eli Rosenbaum be Jewish?
I don't know.
You have no idea.
No.
Yes. It is clear to me.
What is?
You are dredging up the past, and I am to be made an example.
Well, isn't it true you were directly responsible for the conditions of the camp?
No.
Our investigation shows that even though it was the SS's job to control the workforce, they acted only on scientists' instructions.
That is not correct.
The SS gave you daily reports about production, about who was sick, who might be trying to sabotage the facility.
I don't remember reading any reports. I was concentrating solely on the development of the rockets. An American. And I am treated like this.
How are you being treated, Mr. Rudolph?
Who else have you investigated?
You're the only person we're planning to charge. Mr. Rosenbaum convinced the Justice Department to formally charge you for war crimes. Otherwise, he was going to go public.
Yes. I see. Because von Braun is dead. The others are dead. And I am retired. You don't need me anymore. So you squeeze me like a lemon. And when you have used up everything you want, you toss me away.
It went both ways, Mr. Rudolph.
We needed extra labor
Yes?
to build more rockets. You were getting closer. The Americans and the Russians. We could hear the artillery every day. At that point, there was not enough food or water. Everyone was on strict rations. Everyone suffered. Not like the prisoners, of course. The SS brought more and more prisoners from the concentration camps. They were starving, almost useless, most of them. We pushed them till they collapsed. We didn't care. If someone didn't work, they were ordered to be
hanged.
A crane lifted 12 prisoners at a time, hands behind their back, a block of wood stuffed in their mouth. They were hanged with a wire wrapped around their neck. The bodies were left there for days. I could see them out of my office window.
You ordered some of them to be hanged. There are witnesses, Mr. Rudolph.
That was the price. The price science demanded. It was a terrible. We had to. At the end, there was an attempt to make some sort of crude defensive. Some of the SS officers had gotten hold of some fuel, and others had even smuggled in some liquid oxygen. It was suggested that we could mount a kind of final defense. It was insane, of course, to believe that we could postpone the inevitable. I told the others that we needed to accept that Germany had lost. So we left the prisoners. We went south to wait to be captured. We would offer our services.
You knew you were in a position to bargain.
Yes. And you were only too ready to get us out. So afraid the Russians might grab us instead.
Are you ready to sign the agreement, Mr. Rudolph?
If you just sign these papers, Dr. Rudolph, your contract with the American government, we want everything to be legal, don't we?
I don't believe in anything like justice. I believe in the law, and the law says people like you need to leave America.
This page, the Nazi clause. No persons found by the U.S. government to have been a member of the Nazi Party.
In a more than a nominal participation in its activities, or an active supporter of Nazi militarism, shall be brought to the United States.
You ready to sign this?
You agree to renounce your citizenship.
Yes.
So, you've been given a clean bill of health. Welcome to America.
Honestly, Mr. Rudolph, right now everyone would just like you to disappear.